everybody, welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm your host, Ryan Harris. I'm here with a special guest. You've been on the show a lot of times. Probably, actually, the first show we ever did, I think you were on with Blair Morgan.
Blair, yep.
Yeah, and man, we've had you on with Dan Adams. Chris Burandt needs no introduction. We were just talking about this is what, the 20-some-odd year that we've been here?
20-some years we've been here, man. And it's funny. We come here to talk about snowmobiles, and then we're sitting here at a podcast talking about snowmobiles, which is
well, that's when in heydays. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, and it's pretty surreal, right, Ryan? That we've been able to take a passion that we love and make it a profession and make it a job, and so. I don't know. It's interesting. As I get older, my perspective on life and these types of events and everything has changed for the good, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm so dang fortunate and lucky to be able to do what I do, and it's easy to take that for granted in those middle years where when you finally get there, it's like, okay, I'm there, but as you get older, wiser, you can really dude, I'm lucky. I'm really lucky to be able to do what I do.
So before we dive into the track and sled talk and everything, no, I like this angle because I've always wanted to ask you, you started out, so we first met at the West Yellowstone Freestyle Show before it was on the airport, when it was in the city park. I remember being inside there and you were jumping, and then you came over and somebody else was jumping, and I was like, hey, I'm Ryan. And this is the first time we met. And that was 25 years ago, I think.
It was 2000. Yeah, that was like my first event, ever.
Man. Yeah, I guess we are getting old. But anyway, so you went from there, and maybe you can just summarize, because there's just stuff I want to ask you that you've never talked about before.
Sure.
And maybe you won't. Maybe you'll tell me no. I don't care.
Oh, dude,
I have
no filter, my friend.
You started out doing demo tours and freestyle events and X Games to get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
And then you transitioned that into Burandt's Backcountry Adventure, which has become this powerhouse business in the industry. You're the #1 Fox Shock retailer. You're probably the #1 climb retailer. You build crazy mod sleds for a dedicated clientele that repeat every single year. Mm-hmm. At what point did you realize that, okay, grinding every day, killing myself, driving across the country, hauling sleds around, doing freestyle events isn't going to cut it anymore. I got to figure out how to make a living off this or go find something else to do?
So it's interesting. So I knew I wanted to be a snowmobiler from a very young age, but that didn't exist, right? You had to go snow crossing. You had to be Blair Morgan, Tucker Hibbert, or whatever. And so I tried snow crossing, but that wasn't my deal. I liked jumping, which transitioned into freestyle, but and early on the motivation was holy cow, just to get paid to go ride my snowmobile, and freestyle fit the bill, and I enjoyed it, and it was fun, and it was different. But as I kept progressing in freestyle, I was basically had that same frame of thought that you're bringing up here. Okay, well, what's next? And I knew for me, freestyle wasn't the long-term plan. Yes, I was getting paid and I was getting to travel, and it was super cool. You can say living the rock star life, except I wasn't the rock star. I was just so pumped I was getting kind of paid to go ride a snowmobile.
So when you say paid, is it basically just being able to ride for free?
Exactly. Yeah. Let's not get crazy
you're not putting
here.
Money in your pocket.
Yeah. And it was, the early freestyle days, that was definitely the case, right? No money in the pocket, just trying to survive. And then as Travis Pastrana and X Games and just the how freestyle was kind of progressing, there was some money to be made. You weren't going to get rich from it, but there was some money to be made. And that's what was interesting. And when I knew that the shift was coming for me on that next stage, was no longer was I doing freestyle because I liked it and it was fun. I was doing freestyle to win, to make money, to start the next venture. That was my motivation to go win X Games. Wasn't to go get a gold medal. My motivation was to get $50,000 to go start Burandt's Backcountry Adventure. right? Like that was 100% it. And I was hungry for it. And that's what made me go learn a backflip. And I'm like, dude, if I go learn this, I have a good chance to win. And if I win, like, next level, like, go to the next level. Like, what's the next stage in life?
When did you know you wanted to do Burandt's Backcountry Adventure and build this guide service?
Yeah, so that light bulb came on when I was riding for Arctic Cat and did the M7 tour. So 2005, Arctic Cat comes out with the M7, revolutionary snowmobile. We're riding things different now, new technique and all of this stuff. And, kind of, and I can't remember at the time, like whether I came to Arctic Cat with the idea or they did, or maybe it was a conglomeration or collaboration. But I was like, hey, get me some of these sleds. Let me go show these people how to ride this thing because it's different and it's cool. And let me go to the dealers and we'll get customers involved. And so like, that year, basically credit card, black Chevy dually with a 48-foot trailer loaded with snowmobiles and said, go show people how cool this sled is.
And that thing was loaded with snowmobiles. I mean, how many do you have crammed in?
Oh, there was 10. Yeah, 10 all the time. Me and Brett, like it was, and talk about, I mean, a memorable year. And what was just cool about that is, that's when I really just in my mind realized there's some potential here. Just watching people's reaction to learning something new and doing something that was familiar to them, but now hit the reset button because everything is wrong. And now you need to learn to do it this way. And when you do it this way, it will change your world forever. Like you'll be able to go look at things like you've never looked at it before. And so, it's like to kind of be at the forefront of that was the aha moment. Like, hey, I might be able to get paid to go do this.
See, and you put me through that same thing you're talking about, like that aha moment. Like 2008, we were at Snowshoot, and one of the only years that you came up, you were still with Cat, and you were on that Bomber edition, the black and white one.
Yep.
And we were just cruising around, like, and I grew up riding with great riders. Like I rode with the Polaris engineers, the Arctic Cat engineers, Jason Howell, Jack Struthers, just rode with these guys, but it was a different mentality. Like you would just kind of stay out in the clearings in the open and then go find things to climb and features to hit and jumps and everything. And you came on that ride and you never were in the open. You were always in the trees, and you were not only in the trees, you were in the thickest crap possible. And I tried to follow you a couple times, and I'm just like, a snowmobile shouldn't be in here. And then you're just like, woo, yeah, let's go, man. And you just blast out and there's tree branches going everywhere. And I'm like, okay, this is where this is going. Like I got to shift my mentality. And it's exactly what you're talking about. And so that was just such a fulcrum point in the industry to me.
Yeah.
2000 to 2010. Not only that, like back then, there were no brand ambassadors or athletes.
Nothing. Nope.
Nothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so you were starting out the freestyle career, and that was starting to grow. And Tyler Johnson was doing a fantastic job with Octane and that, and building that aspect up. There were other riders, Courtney Hungerford.
Yeah.
Dan Adams was involved in that.
Frisbee, like, and then Levi seen the same thing, right? Like, okay, this snowcross thing, but man, this freestyle thing has got some legs to it, right? So, he leveraged things a little bit differently. But when you look at all of those big names that established themselves in the freestyle thing, like, again, what I've always, and initially this wasn't my intention, but it became my sole purpose of like, there's a lot of talented riders. So how can I differentiate myself from somebody else to keep progressing? And that's where the riding style and like, when I first started my business, the tagline was, can you hang? Right? Like, come here, I'm going to kick the shit out of you. And I'm going to show you that what is possible on a snowmobile. And some people take that good, and then some people might not. But it was okay. Like, I was a young punk kid or whatever, right? And it's funny how, from a mentality standpoint, what I shifted from our motto of "Can you hang?" to like, hey, we can actually, like, you're pretty a decent rider, but I can make you a really good rider with just a couple little things. And then once the rider starts seeing what a value for the service you're providing, that's when word of mouth and repeat customers, and then you start building sleds, and then like, hey, what are you running? Your stuff always runs good. Well, I'm running this, and then it's parts, and so we were able to diversify the business. It wasn't just solely strict on guiding only. Then we start the online store and building sleds and parts, and here we are.
And here you are now, 25 years later.
Just only 25 years it took. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, but it's just come so far. And we were kind of on the same page back then, because I was looking at like the snowboard industry, and just it's all athlete based.
Yeah.
The entire industry
really
is athlete based. That's the whole marketing model. And I'm like, why can't we do that in the snowmobile industry? So we started pushing, like, let's talk about the riders. Let's talk about these guys they're buying their own equipment. They're getting small sponsorship deals. They're paying for gas.
Well, how about Sledhead Magazine?
Yeah, Sledheads Magazine.
Dude, it was the definition of that, right?
It was that exact model. That's all we did, is just took the snowboard model and said, let's bring that to snowmobile.
Yeah.
And the Shaun Whites and all that is just, we have phenomenal riders that are changing the sport. The sleds are progressing really fast. Let's talk about that aspect.
Let's showcase it.
Yeah. And that was just so fun. But now I want to back to the Arctic Cat days.
Okay. Yeah.
So you were kind of fundamental in marketing the M7. You did the demo tours like you talked about. You and Burandt, or you and Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Took those sleds all around the country, and then you started doing Red Bull Fuel and Fury, X Games. Like, you were Mr. Arctic Cat, and you were winning everything. Gold medals. How many gold medals do you have from X Games?
I've got one gold and one silver. So yeah, I have some regrets on X Games, especially like in the hill cross days. They're really, really fast, but really hard on equipment at the time, and could have had a couple more gold medals though I kicked myself for, like, dude, you were winning by a lot, and all you needed to do was cruise, and instead of cruising, you overjumped one and broke a chain and wrecked a chain case, and then you're out, and it's like, that was dumb. So
yeah.
Remember those young and dumb days, like I was talking about.
So you're Mr. M7.
Yeah,
for all these years, and then 2012 rolls around.
Yeah.
And
so 2010.
But 2012 rolls around because you saw the product.
Yeah.
So what happened in 2010 that made you switch?
So,
like, specifically.
Okay.
And we can dive into this, because this is 2 Arctic Cat companies ago.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to say thanks to the companies that support the Snow West Show. Please support these companies and that are involved in the snowmobile industry. First off, Fly Racing is the #1 gear brand in supercross and motocross, and they bring that same product innovation to snowmobiling. Whether it's monosuits, helmets, boots, gloves, or goggles, Fly Racing has you covered for your snowmobile gear head to toe. Check them out at flyracing.com or Fly Racing Snow on socials. And thanks to DV Inc. for supporting the show. Head on over to dvinc.com and check out their custom wrap builder with their new interactive design tools that make designing and customizing wraps easy. Their new colorizer tool randomizes color combinations until you land on the look you love. Then try the design mixer tool to see all the DV Inc. designs in the colors you've selected. Check it out at dvinc.com. Patrick Custom Carbon is the industry leader in clutch balancing and lightning, with over 50 years of experience in the snowmobile industry to make your snowmobile clutches run smoother, faster, and more efficient. For more information, go to patrickcustomcarbon.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram. And thanks to Tempest Optics, these goggles feature an automatic lens heating system that sets the bar for fog prevention. We wear them. They just signed Steve Martin. They have a huge assortment of lens options. They're easy to swap. We get 3 to 5 rides on a single charge out of these, and they will stay charged for a very long time. No on and off switch, no external battery pack, no power cords, just charge them and ride. Check them out at tempestoptics.com and on social media. And welcome to the show, EasyLink. We've seen EasyLink stuff on trucks, snowmobiles, and UTVs for a while now. EasyLink connects your truck, your UTV, or your snowmobile with one device, making diagnostics, recalibrations, flash support, and factory functions easier than ever. One device, one platform, all your machines connected with EasyLink. See more at easylink.com. And thanks to Caliber Products. They've been the leader in trailer glides and snowmobile shop wheels for years, but did you know they also do flooring for trailers and shops, ramps, and a bunch of other accessories? One of the coolest things that we've seen is the Traction Ladder HD. This allows your track to engage with the ramp sooner for safer, more controlled loading on any sled deck ramp or bed loading ramp. Check out all the products Caliber offers at caliberproductsinc.com. Now back to the show. This is 2 Arctic Cat companies ago.
Yeah.
2 owners
ago.
Oh,
no, this is all good. Like, and I get this question a lot. And so why the switch? Okay. So the main reason, and people ask me, like, well, what did Polaris pay you to go to them? I'm like, well, I went to Polaris. I contacted Polaris. Polaris didn't contact me. And the whole reason is I was again very thankful and fortunate for the opportunities that I had with Arctic Cat. However, what wasn't there was the partnership side of things. It was really essentially like, here's some stuff, see you later, right? And it wasn't a lot of stuff. It was a couple sleds, and I was buying stuff, and so, and from the very beginning, I took a lot of pride in like, hey, I'm on the snow a lot. I don't pretend to know everything, but I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what works and what doesn't for this style of riding. And then, you know, rewind just a little bit more. I was a district sales manager for Arctic Cat for 2 years. So I got a lot of knowledge on that side of things from a dealer standpoint, consumer standpoint, seeing how the manufacturer works there. So again, like kind of completing the circle of like, hey, he's not just a dude who wins X Games medals, right? He's able to establish relationships with customers, establish relationships with dealers, and be a people person.
Yeah, I forgot you were a DSM there.
Yeah, I mean, rep. So that was 2009, 07, 08. And then, okay, and then fast forward. So what was happening was like, I wanted to be involved with marketing. I wanted to be involved with development. I wanted to be involved on the engineering side. I wanted to just have a voice. And it was, they didn't want that voice. And so again, kind of from the same thing, like looking at my freestyle deal, I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. This almost feels like doesn't have any legs to it. Like, where am I going from here? Like, if I just keep doing the same thing, it's going to hang me up at some point. So I could see what Polaris was doing with Dan, with Slednex, Pat, Bourgeois, right? Mm-hmm. So what they were doing from a outsider's perspective was like, dude, they're like going all in on this.
Embracing this riding style and this culture.
The culture. Mm-hmm. I mean, people were envious of my gig at Arctic Cat, but I was looking on the outside like, whoa, that's where I need to be, is over there. Like and so that was the reason for the switch. It wasn't like I was one thing. I was happy with the product, but I mean, from 2005 to 2010, it was the same dang snowmobile.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple new engines. But.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I was getting bored, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Like, it was the same stuff.
Well, and to be fair, I mean, that one of my other questions we'll get to later on is what are the most revolutionary snowmobiles in the industry for the mountain segment? 05 M7.
Sure.
And when the 05 M7 came out, it was phenomenal. It did things no other sled could do.
Yep.
And then it continued to do things that no other sled can do, but other sleds started to ride better.
Sure.
Go down the trail better, handle the bumps better, do certain things better.
Yep.
And then that one just had it was still great at what it did, but it became dated.
It became old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what happened there too is as it became old, it's so hard. It's hard to catch up when you fall behind in this industry, mm-hmm. right? I mean, you saw it happen to Polaris. It's happened to all of them, right? They get complacent a little bit or whatever the reasoning is, but when you stay too long with something, and it's this big roller coaster, and so that sled was getting old. In 2010, I make the switch to Polaris on my own admission.
But did you ride the Pro Climb?
Okay, so here's how that actual story went.
All right.
Okay, I switched before knowing of the Pro Climb.
Okay.
And that should tell you something, because like the Dragon was there were certain things I liked about the Dragon, and it was from a handling characteristic. It was actually a pretty fun sled to ride. Motor stuff, they had some issues with the motors. The sled was heavier, but I didn't care about any of that, because all I wanted was a shot at like getting my foot in the door at other opportunities. So literally, after I signed it, I get the call from Marty Sampson, like, hey, we got something fun and cool. We're coming out to Colorado to show you. And so and then I ride, what, in my opinion, is another one of the game changers, a 2011 Pro, which is funny. You get on a Pro now, and it's like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. It feels like a 25-year-old snowmobile, even though it's not that. But
it does.
Yeah.
And it solidified why I did it, right? So I've got Marty and his team in this hand-built freaking cool mod sled, essentially, like in my mind, right? Like, whoa, dude, look at carbon fiber overstructure, aluminum everywhere, no steel. This thing is awesome. And so, yeah. And then, I'm there with the engineers. Like, that's what I wanted this whole time, is like, give them some feedback.
So let's talk Marty rides for a minute.
Yeah.
Because Marty is one of those guys that if you go on a ride with him where he doesn't feel like restricted in any way on making sure that people are okay.
Yeah.
Marty goes crazy.
Yeah.
And Marty was learning through all this process, and he spent time, I think he obviously learned things from you, spent a lot of time with Jack Struthers and other people in the industry learning to ride like that.
Yeah.
And then because he was not afraid to just go drop into the steepest, darkest crap you could find and spend the rest of the day trying to get out.
Yeah.
That played into the development of that product that he was involved with.
100%. And I think that was one of the keys to success, especially with the team Marty had at that time, it was just a bunch of good dudes like who were enjoying this mountain thing, right? Learning this new style and building a sled to fit that culture of like, hey, let's go see what's down here. We've never been able to do this ever before. Let's go check it out. And that's why the machines have gotten to where they've gotten, is because of something like that. I got to tell you one quick story of a Marty story. And so for those of you guys who don't know, we're talking about Marty Sampson at the time. I was working with him. Marty was in charge of the engineering department, product development, and all that fun stuff for Polaris. And so we get awesome early snow in Colorado. He comes out, and so I was with myself and Eric Woog from Alpine Motorsports, Vogue Performance. You guys might know of him. And with Marty coming out, so here's Eric and I licking our chops like, dude, we're taking him into our hell holes, right? And because we know Marty's game for it. Mm-hmm. And it was a deep day, like mega deep day. And we dropped into this one, and even like, Eric and I were like, man, this is going to be like pretty tough to get out. And, we had fought and wrestled and got sleds unstuck a bunch, and poor Marty, Flatlander, working 27 hours a day. And then, here Eric and I come in fresh, Colorado dudes, and we drop him into this hole, and he's whipped. And, Eric and I go up and down to get out of this thing a few times to try to pack in a trail and everything. And Marty's just struggle busing hard. And it's like, and he finally ended up getting out. But to this day, everybody knows it as Marty's hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, for anyone who rides up at the Rabbit Ears area, and when you drop into the deep, dark, gnarly one, and it's called Marty's Hole, that's why it's that.
Yeah, that's iconic. Yeah, we've had some crazy rides with Marty too, because we always do a media intro ride in January, mm-hmm. Where you go out and ride with the engineers, and we do another ride where it's more of the whole media together. And so the one-on-one ride in January is always like, okay, we're going to show you what this thing can do by showing you what it can do.
Yeah.
And
my kind of ride.
Yeah, just great rides and great stories with Marty and Lyle.
Yeah.
And Jesse.
And like I said, the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was, and I had a meeting with Polaris when I flew in for this event on Friday, and I had a very similar conversation that I haven't got to have in a lot of years. The team right now at Polaris, it reminds me of that team. Like from a marketing standpoint, product idea or vision standpoint, and engineering standpoint. Dude, we've got some, it's good right now.
It is good.
It's really good on the Polaris side. And I sat up in the meeting, and I've been, I've been with Polaris for 16 years now. And I sat there and I said, guys, I haven't had this feeling in a long time. And I just want to say, we're going to go kick some ass. And you guys are the ones who are enabling us to do it. And so I'm stoked, man. I'm pretty excited.
So what are some things along the way that you feel like you really had a big hand in on development? Because we started with Pro Ride, the 2011 Pro.
Yeah.
And then you've gone 3 iterations of the chassis through there. You've come out with factory turbos, 9R. What have you really played a hand in? Yeah.
For me, I think the biggest one was the Axis chassis. So it's interesting. And I mean, this is what I just, I'll bring Marty back in it. Like, Marty's down in South America testing first iterations of the Axis chassis. And they have this raised, crazy raised platform that they ended up going too tall at some point. Oh, okay, that's actually a little goofy, and we need to come back down, right? And so, they were, and at this time, and this is where I love this saying that OEMs drive aftermarket and aftermarket drives OEMs, okay? Because at that time, we were building some pretty cool sleds, some pros, right? Boondocker turbos, I was riding carbon skids even back then, narrowing up front ends, all of these things. And then here comes an Axis that a bone stock Axis would absolutely outhandle and trounce a freaking modded pro, right? And that's how it should be, And then it takes us the aftermarket 2, 3, 4 years to catch up to the next one, and then we get a Matrix, right? So, I guess backing up, I would say my direct influence maybe wasn't necessarily on, it's not like I helped design or do anything on the Axis chassis, for example. But here's what I think I added. I think I added, I remember going to Daniel's Summit for one of the Polaris photo shoots, and I took one of my, I had a carbon fiber hood side panel, 420-pound 155 with a Boondocker turbo. It was 420 pounds at that time. And I say, hey, Marty, let's go ride. You should ride this, dude. You need to ride this. And he was so anti-turbo then because they ran like junk. And, I mean, they weren't like what we know of a turbo now, right? And unfortunately, my stuff ran pretty good. It wasn't perfect that day, but it was good enough for him to get a feel okay, yep, that's pretty good. But he wasn't as blown away with the motor, but from a chassis standpoint, he's like, wow, this thing's light and it gets up on top of the snow and it does some cool things. So I would just hope that just my vision of that lightweight deal and Polaris's lightweight vision with us two kind of going down that path. It's why we've had a 408-pound Axis and why a Matrix is pretty dang legit snowmobile to go just literally go get out of the box. It's better than any Axis mod sled from back in the day, and you can literally put pump gas in it and have a warranty.
What about the short tunnel Matrix Slash?
Yeah. So it's funny. Darren Headland, right? You know Darren from Polaris. I wanted to do this for such a long time on the Axis. I'm like, man, it was by accident. I wrecked a track and a skid doing something dumb, and the only thing I had was a 165. So I put a 165 skid and track in a 155 chassis, and I rode it. And I was like, hold on, just 1 second. Were you looking at it going, maybe this will work, or did you just throw it on and you were like, this will get by? I just threw it on with no intention of it being good or not. I just need a sled today, and this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to do. And then when I rode it, I'm like, this 165 feels like a 155, but I can go. And it's because I don't have anything back here. So very next year, Darren flies out to my place, and we start hacking up snowmobiles. And, and so then, he's TIG welding at my shop and closing the cooler, and we're doing custom bumpers. And then we've got a short tunnel Axis. And
what year was that?
So that was 2018 is when that was. 2017.
So second year?
Yeah,
second year of the Axis?
Second year. 2017. Yep. And actually that sled came back to my shop because I sold it to a local guy. Came back to my shop. It's still ticking. And, we did a couple little things to it. But, yeah, it's still running around.
Still with 165 rails on the 55 panel?
He went yeah, actually it does. It does. It still has that same combo. Yeah. A couple different tracks, and he's kind of hard on stuff too. So
So what do you have in mind for the big build this year?
Oh, man. So this is
how do you outdo what you, I mean, there's to a point where you can't really outdo things anymore. So
Yeah.
now you just got to come up with creative, like that one, based on the 97 700 RMK, like things like that, where it's still such a wild sled, but it looks like that. And you're like, oh, wow.
So this doesn't happen very often. There was another year. It was actually in 2014 that I rode the same sled 2 years in a row. So in 14, I built a really cool Pro. And in 15, I added a bunch of carbon fiber and some cool stuff, raised running boards, because after I rode the Axis, I'm like, okay, we got to get some stuff out of the snow. So Skins did raised running boards. We did taller spindles. Like, I really cheated because I knew what
I knew what
an Axis
was. Did you take any heat because you're...
I didn't, thank goodness. That was pretty early on in the relationship, and that could have gone sideways. But
hey, Chris just took all of our prototype stuff that hasn't been released and told aftermarket how to build it.
Yeah, that was... And at the time, I didn't really think of it that way, but now I do. Yeah. But anyway, this will be so that sled that you're referring to, that will be only the second sled that I ride 2 years in a row, because literally I can't, there's nothing. I mean,
that's the XCR, the black XCR you're talking about?
The
97.
The 97. Yeah. And it only has 88 miles on it. I didn't get enough. We ended up going so far down the rabbit hole with like every single titanium bolt and every detail that could be done on that sled was, for me and what my use demand was for it. And so I'm riding it again. So, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to build a sled, because this year I'm pretty excited. I'm building a sled not for me. I'm going to build one for my daughter. So my kids have been riding one of the coolest sleds ever built. It's a Axis chassis with a 600, with a 660 Carl's big bore, a 146 carbon skid, all like small skins tank. It's 365 pounds. It's like a really cool snowmobile. But we're at the point now where, like, I think it's actually easier to ride a 9R Matrix. It's just an easier sled to ride. Like the Axis it's run its course. It is the best kid sled ever made, in my opinion, and it will be good for the next owner. But my daughter and where she's going with her riding, she's ready for the next step. So I'm going to build a fun lightweight Matrix for her.
Yeah, that's cool. That's funny. That reminds me of my youngest daughter, snowmobiles more than anybody else in my family.
Yep.
And she is kind of a 9R snob. And she's 14 years old, and she's like, no, I'm taking the 9R.
No, they know. And this is what I like. I think this is a great point, Ryan. The reason that they are 9R snobs is because with the throttle response, and the sled is the same weight as an 850, but it feels lighter because of the lightweight crank and inertia, and like the sled feels lighter because of the snappiness of the motor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That'll be cool and to follow. Let me ask you a couple questions. We'll get into the track. You've come out with a new track that you developed specifically with Camso that you're going to be selling at Burandt's Backcountry Adventure. But going back to the 2000s, what is your favorite memory from 2000 to 2010?
I have a lot of them. X Games was one pretty memorable moment. So, that's 07. And I don't need to harp on it, but the reason it's so memorable is because of how life-changing it was. Again, I told you I needed money. I needed money to start my business at Burandt's Backcountry Adventure, but more importantly, from a mental standpoint, I was able to do something that in my head I wasn't sure I could do, and that was a backflip. The freestyle thing, we were so early in it that backflips weren't, the norm like it is now. And so I could get away and be competitive without doing a backflip because I was pretty terrified of it, to be honest.
Well, at that point, I mean, you had Jim Rippey, the first one. And then you had a handful of guys, Quinlan.
Yeah, exactly.
A handful of guys.
Yeah, Quinlan was kind of an entrepreneur of it, right? I mean, he really pushed it. And then on the freestyle side of things, you get guys like, I mean, Heath Frisbee would make it look so dang easy. And like, and then X Games comes around and there's quite a few guys, you know, flipping, like, you know, 4 or 5 dudes in there. And I knew if I wanted a chance. So again, like, to be able to mentally overcome something so challenging from a confidence standpoint, it like if you can do something like that in life, it makes everything so much easier. And so something that I tell my kids is we do hard things. So next time we do something hard, it's not as hard. And that's whether it's single track dirt biking, whether it's learning how to counter steer, whether it's learning, you know, my daughter's now, she wanted to go shoot an elk with her bow. And I'm like, well, we got to practice a lot. And like literally at Heydays here, she's like, hey, I think my 40-yard pin's a little low. And she sends me a picture of 2 arrows literally a 1/4 inch apart, but a little low, you know? So I love that mentality of life for, you know, not only me, but my clients. I push them really hard because I have a lot of expectations and you know, that rolls right into how I raise my kids as well.
Yeah, that's a good model. Back to the most influential sleds. We talked about the 05 M7, and Jason Howell deserves all the credit in the world for that thing.
Yep.
That sled changed mountain riding. What are some other ones that deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore of mountain sleds?
Yeah, and
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode with Chris Burandt. We're going to break this into 2 parts, so that is the end of part 1. Go back to the Snowist Magazine YouTube channel and watch for part 2. We'll release that just the very next day after you've seen this one. So it'll be out there real quick. Chris gets into a lot of detail on some more stuff, a lot of great stories, and talks about this new Camso track, camouflage track that he's developed. A lot of great information there, but thank you so much for listening. Go back and hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any notifications for future episodes. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming, including one on October 13th, Monday, October 13th. You're not going to want to miss this one. We're going to have Thomas Bernston, the creator of 2B, who is starting a new company. I think he's going to launch something on the Snow West show here with us on Monday, November 13th. So tune in for that, hear his story, find out what's going on with Thomas, what he's been through, what he's about to do, what his new company is going to be, and everything that's going on there. It's kind of a crazy story from what we gather, from what we've heard. And scroll through the Snow West YouTube channel and check out all the other episodes that we've done. This is we've done about 100 episodes, and we got a lot of great content on there to go back and listen to. It's all still relevant and interesting. And please go to snowwest.com and check out T-shirts and hats and hoodies that we have to offer. Anything you guys do like that really supports us and helps us be able to bring more content like this to you. So we appreciate anything you do there, and thank you so much for listening and watching the show.